Hello, my dear student. This is again Teacher Shasha, and I hope you're doing well. Thank you for taking the time in going through your grammar lesson for today. I put a lot of effort in coming up with this video for you. I hope you enjoy and learn something new today.
Welcome S2 for your third week of online learning. I hope everyone is still doing awesome. Let's go ahead and start with our quote of the day. It says here, all your dreams can come true if you have the courage to pursue them, by Walt Disney. I'm sure everyone knows about Walt Disney. Of course, the proponent of all those Disney World, Disney Seas, and all those Disney cartoon movies that we have watched since we were very, very young. So let's go ahead and talk about, what do you wonder about today's topic? What do you think would be our lesson for today? So our lesson is all about the use of there is and there are. What's really the difference? First, our objective for today is to first differentiate or determine the difference between the usage of the following, which is there is and there are. Practice the different usage of there is and there are in a conversation as well as in exercises. Let's go ahead and watch this short video.
This is my living room. This is where I love to read. In front of the wall, there is a bookcase. In the bookcase, there are 3 shelves, and on each shelf, there are books. Next to the bookcase, there are photographs. These photographs are pictures of my family. There is a photograph of my brothers. In front of the wall, there is a blue sofa. Next to the sofa, there is a black lamp. On the other side of the sofa, there's a table. On top of the table, there's a vase with a plant inside. In front of the sofa, there is a coffee table. There are 2 cups on the table right now. This is my bedroom. Near the wall, there is a wardrobe. There are 2 doors and 2 drawers in the wardrobe. I keep my clothes in this wardrobe. Next to the wardrobe, there is a window. The window has purple curtains. On the wall, there's a picture. Beneath the picture, there is a bed. On top of the bed, there is a blue blanket. This is my garden. In the garden, there's a small white table. There are 2 white chairs. There's a barbecue grill. There are plants in the garden. There are flowers. There are shrubs. And there's a grass lawn. In the garden, there is a cat that plays with a ball, and also there is a dog.
Now, what is there is and there are? Basically, these are used to talk about things that exist or things that we see. When we talk about when things will happen, when or where people are, or even numbers. For example, there is used if the noun after there is singular or uncountable. Example, there is a young lady shopping at the supermarket. There are, however, is used if the noun is plural. Example, there are oranges in the produce section of the supermarket. There is for singular nouns, there are for plural nouns. Easy peasy, right? To make questions, we put the verb be before there. So basically, instead of subject plus verb, we will reverse it with verb plus subject. Example, are there any avocados available? Instead of saying there are any avocados available. And we use was or were after there to talk about the past. There weren't any avocados left in the supermarket. So this is for past tense. We often use these words after there plus be. So you could say there are, there is a, there is an, there is any, there is some, there are much, there are many, there are a lot of, there are lots of, there are two, there are three, there are hundreds, or etc. Example, there's a few glasses set at the table. There wasn't any customers in the restaurant. There were 300 people at their wedding. So we use a if it's singular. We use any if it's a negative response. And we use a certain number if we're talking about plural form of nouns. Okay, we sometimes use there plus be with a problem. We normally say, there's a problem at work. I may be late going home. There's a problem in town. That's why there's traffic. Now let's go ahead and see grammar in action, how there is or there are is used in common conversations. First, we use there plus be. It's either there is or there are to talk about where things or people are. We might talk about our town, our city, our province, our country. For example, there are a lot of police in the town center today. So there are, and then the use of a lot of police in the town center today. There's a new cinema outside town. There's a new cinema outside town. There's a new movie theater outside town. There's a new mall outside town. You could also use in question form. Is there a car park near the supermarket? So again, verb plus there are. Okay, second, we use there is or there are to talk about when things happen, when we make plans. Example, there's a good movie coming out in cinemas next month. You'd also say there's a kite surfing competition next week at the beach. Let's go. Or, is there an organic market open on Sunday? Third usage of there is or there are is when we talk about numbers. We might talk about parties. We might talk about certain events that may happen. Example, there were a lot of guests at the party, but there weren't any famous people. We use there plus be to talk about things we have at home or things that you possess. For example, you're talking about your room, you're talking about your house, you're talking about your garden. So here's an example where we're talking about food and drinks. There are some lemon fish left at the buffet table. Or you could use a question format. Is there any salad left? It looks like it's finished. Okay, using some. So there is or there are could use some if we're talking about plural countable nouns. So we can either give the quantity, like for example, there are 4 people, or use some if we don't know the exact quantity. Let's see a few examples right here. So we know that there are 4 people in the office. So this is a countable noun. So we could say there are 4 people in the office. But if you're not sure because you're not there or weren't in the office, you could say there are some people in the office when I left, but you're not sure how many were there. So you could just say there are some people left in the office. But if you're sure of how many or the quantity of people left in the office, then you could say there are 4 people in the office. So you could have the exact quantity by putting a number after there are. If you're not sure, you could use some. Now you could also use there is or there are in negative form by using any. So there are 2 ways for you to use negative form of there is and there are. The first way is to add not or n apostrophe t to the end of the verb. Example, instead of saying there is not a freezer, you could just go ahead and say there isn't a freezer in the kitchen. It's a singular countable noun. You could also use there isn't any money in my wallet. There isn't any money in my bank account. Money could be uncountable. So you could say there isn't any for uncountable noun. There aren't any students in the classroom. It's plural form and it's countable, so are not. We normally do not use any if it's singular countable noun. So the correct usage would just be there isn't a freezer in the kitchen. There isn't a piece of biscuit left in the cupboard. So you don't say there isn't any piece of biscuit. You could just say there isn't a piece of biscuit left because it's a singular countable noun. Now, the second form of there is and there are usage would be the use of no after there is or there are. Examples, there is no freezer in the kitchen for singular and countable noun. There are no students in the classroom for plural noun, and there's no coffee left for uncountable noun. However, the most commonly used would be just adding n apostrophe t at the end of the verb. You could just say there isn't a freezer, there isn't any money, there aren't any students. Because you're trying to combine is not to make sure that it's much more understandable. For a question form of there is and there are, so again, to make a question, what you just have to do is to change the word order from subject verb to verb subject. So here's the format. You could say there is a plus singular noun would be is there a plus singular noun. So, example, is there a toilet on this train? Another format is there is some plus uncountable noun would be is there any plus uncountable noun? Example, is there any time to go shopping? There are some plus plural noun will be are there any plus uncountable noun? So, are there any trains to London this morning? Now, for those questions, you could either answer by using yes, there is, no, there isn't, yes, there are, or no, there aren't. So if you will be asked, is there still biscuit left in the cupboard? You could say, yes, there is. Are there any students left in school? No, there aren't. Now that we have discussed the use of there is and there are, let's go ahead and practice what we have learned. I have 5 questions right here, and you have the chance to answer all these 5 questions. Get ready. First question. There are blank people in the restaurant. A. Are any? B. Are some? C. Is some? 5 seconds. All right. If you got your answer right, which is are some, there are some people in the restaurant. Good job. Second, there blank information about careers in the library. A. Are some? B. Is some? C. Isn't some? 5 seconds. All right. The correct answer is B. Is some. There is some information about careers in the library. Next. Blank cheese in this sandwich. A. Are there any? B. Is there a? C. Is there any? 5 seconds. If you answered C, is there any? Good job. 4. Blank letter for you. A. There's a. B. There's any. C. There's some. 5 seconds. Awesome. If you answered A, there's a letter for you. You got it right. 5. Last question. Blank customers in the shop. A. Are there any? B. Is there? C. Is there any? The correct answer would be, are there any customers in the shop? If you got all 5 correct answers, you got all the learnings that we had today, which is the use of there is and there are. Good job. Now for lesson summary. For this lesson, again, we have discussed there is or there are to talk about things we can see and things that exist. We use there is for singular and uncountable nouns, and we use there are for plural countable nouns. Now for your homework, you have to complete this Kahoot challenge. Again, you can go to kahoot.it on your browser or on your mobile phones. Just enter the game pin 06911801. This is also available in Google Classroom, and this will also be sent to you via email. Thank you again for trying to continue your learning for your grammar lessons. Be sure to thank your parents or anyone in your house for helping you out today.
Oh, and that's the end of our lesson for this week. That was really fast, right? Hope you learned something new today. And don't forget your homework. I will be checking on it really soon. And please remember, you are unique, you are awesome. Please thank your parent or your loved ones who supported you today. This is Teacher Shasha. Say goodbye. Have a great day.